Okay, good morning. We're going to go through a quick-ish tutorial on dimensions today. Um, Lot to cover, lot to unpack, but before we get too far into it, I think the first thing you want to understand is that there's probably going to be a little bit of difference project manager to project manager and how they want to see things dimensioned. And most of that's probably going to stem from the project type or project specific type that they're doing, or things for a specific client that a client requests. So, make sure you coordinate with your project manager and review previous projects that they've done for that particular client, just to make sure you're capturing things that that client or that contractor may need for their job. The other thing you probably want to be aware of when we do these things is that, for example, I do almost exclusively wood stud projects, and we outline at the beginning of the job that our dimensions are going to go to face of stud or edge of stud, however you want to say it, unless defined otherwise. Okay. And that may change for somebody that's doing steel stud or cold form studs. They might actually want to dimension their project to face of drywall in those conditions. But in general, when we do wood studs project, it's always to face of stud unless noted otherwise. The other thing to keep in mind is when a door is in a 90-degree corner, like take for example this entry door, we have in the outset, there's a diagram, we put it on it goes out almost with every set of drawings, and it basically absolves us from dimensioning doors that are in a 90-degree corner. There's just no need. It saves tons of time putting a dimension string to the center of that door for hundreds of doors throughout the project. If it's packed into a corner like this, or even this door, this double door, where it's very obviously graphically centered, then you can skip dimensioning that. We basically cover that for the contractor. Okay. Things you do want to dimension as you go along. You want to make sure you're picking up the rough opening for things that need a set opening. Like for example, this tub probably needs a 5 foot and 1/2 inch opening for kind of a typical tub. Make sure you're dimensioning also the depth of the framing of the tubs. Make sure you're picking up any furring walls you may have in the dimension strings, things like that. Alright, so let's just take a typical unit. When we do a typical unit, what I like to see are 3 dimension strings. Alright, the first dimension string, the tightest dimension string, just hits every opening and every wall, and I want to see the thickness of the walls with minor exceptions. Okay, the second row of dimensions, I want to have the ins and outs for the framer. I want to be able to grab this edge and that edge, but that's a whole run so I can snap a tape. Third row of dimensions is just going to be the overall out to out of the unit. Okay, so let's just kind of dig into it here. One of the things I found real quick, you can do face a core. That helps Revit snap more easily to the edge of stud. Alright, this is a good example of when I won't do the face of every stud, right? I could do here, here, and here on this furring wall, but it gets particularly messy and particularly hard to read. And the furring area is going to have this is what I call minor areas of fluff, right? So when the contract, it's not super important if this is 1/8 of an inch off. What's really important is that they make sure they have enough room for the kitchen, and then make sure they get the rough opening for the shower pan, right? So with those two goals in mind, I'm just going to hit that right there. Just look, I need a couple of furring walls, make it what you need to make it. The world isn't perfect is another way I'm saying. Like, there's gonna come in, you do these studs are bent, studs come warped. The contractor world is full of imperfections. Your drawings want to communicate what's important. I hope that makes sense. Here, 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 and oop, I had it. I had it and I lost it. Oh no. I lost the whole thing. Alright. Tragedies abound. Let's just do it again. Okay. Easy, quick. Alright. An old man tries to Revit. He fails. Ugh. Alright. There we go. Whew. Struggle bust my way through it. Alright. Now, alignment. Graphically, you want these things to be easy to read. So I hate it when people put them there. They pack them in there as tight as they possibly can. You know, just do a nice graphical spacing. Boom. Done, right? So let's see. We've got some issues here. Must have snapped to drywall. Make sure you go back and fix it. That is one thing. Always make sure you go back. Make sure you're double checking your work. Just run through every dimension string and ask yourself, does this make sense? And if it doesn't, fix it. Here's one. So I know for a fact that I want this wall to be 60.5. Right? I need 5 foot for the drop-in shower pan. An extra ½ inch, you know, so they can fur it in there and wiggle it in. Let's see, 6 is good. Don't know why we come up with an 8, but all the rest of the dimensions look solid. Go ahead and finish that out. I get questions sometimes, especially on demising walls. Why do we not dimension to the absolute center of the demising wall? Why do we just go to the edge of the stud when this is a double wall stud? That's a good question, but for the enlarged units, I think the simple answer is that this is the way the contractor's accustomed to seeing it, and the overalls are going to be the overall floor plan. This is one of the reasons we dimension the overall floor plans as well. That helps help everything line up when it's all being built. So they basically, you know, we do these dimensions here, but they're basically for the interior of the unit. I guarantee you that when the guys are framing this thing out, they're just looking at the overall floor plans. If nothing else, this is just a nice way so they can see the thickness of this wall. Some people leave these in dimensions out. I know that some people put them in different places in Revit, but that's more technical than I'm willing to get into today. Just suffice to say, this is the way my team does it. This is the way that works. Shouldn't be an issue. So here's one. There are no openings on this wall. There are no ins and outs on this wall, so it's just a straight framed wall. So for this one, the only other dimension that I'm going to put on here is the out to out. Put it right about there. Okay. That top run is done. Okay, so now I'm going to go and do the bottom. I get questions, why do you just go to the center line of the window? Why do you not show the rough opening dimensions for your windows? And for me, it's a speed thing. The rough openings for the dimensions, what I need those to be are set in the window schedule. And so it's a lot easier to peg the center of the window. And then let's say for whatever reason all the windows change, we don't have to go back and redimension anything. Now, of course, those rules were set up kind of in AutoCAD. And I suspect if I did the rough openings for the windows, that because these dimensions are in Revit, the dimensions would theoretically auto-update. But for now, I haven't had any issues with the contractor or any complaints going to the center line of the window. So for now, because it's fast and easy, we keep it that way. We just stay that way. So here we go. This guy, you'll notice that I'm just sort of plowing through the porch here. That's one of the ways I like to see it. I just sort of, the porch columns, I leave those alone. I like to have enlarged plans separate that just deal with the columns on all 3 floors, because columns can become a complicated piece. So next row of dimensions, I'll just do that outside corner, grab that outside corner, and this outside corner. 1, 2, 3. Easy framing dimensions for the contractor. And then of course, again, I'll go back and I'll double down on my out to outs. There we go. One thing you should do is check your out to outs, make sure that these 2 numbers match. And if they don't, you might have a crooked wall, or you might have something snapped to the wrong place. But you really want to check that. See, here in this particular condition, I think that this wall, because it shows sheathing on both sides, that they would want that wall to align. Those studs probably should line up all the way down. There we go. 47.6, 47.6. Okay. Alright. Let's do an end wall. Here again, not going to dimension the door. This guy jogs in. This is another good condition where it's a furring wall. So the dimension I care about is that one, that 210. Remember, again, we're tagging these tub rough openings. And grab a closet. Put some space out here in between it. So one thing that I see a lot is folks will come and they'll start dimensioning on these end walls, and for whatever reason they'll come out here and they'll do a string of dimensions, and then they'll quit, and then they'll come back and start a new string of dimensions. And I want to avoid this if possible. You know, they come back here and they just line that up. We want to avoid this nonsense if possible. If you quit a dimension string midway, go back here and just edit witness lines and keep them all these dimensions as one string. Because when you don't, I find a lot of the time that folks have got dimension errors. And when they're not all one string, sometimes it can make them really hard to see. I got, that I've lost, for example, 3.5 inches, or I've gained 3.5 inches beyond what it should be. Keep your dimension strings all as one string, and you'll help cut down on errors. All right, so there's the outside of the unit, pretty much taken care of. I will go ahead and throw a couple of out-to-out dimensions here as well once it gets done saving. There we go. Okay. Alright. This guy's another good example of these. There we go. This one, probably just to keep things clean, I would, for example, I would remove that, and then I would add it to that guy. Just graphic clarity. It's just one of those things that I like to see. Run that guy out there. There you go. So again, your dimension lines, they should have nice even-ish spacing in between everything. This guy, if anything, I probably could adjust him a little bit. About more or less like that. Alright. Okay, which will lead us to interior dimensions. This is where things really fall apart. Interior dimensions, I see a lot of times either they're not enough, too many, but not where I need them, and in spots that obscure or cover up or otherwise impede my ability to see all the other tags or information that I need inside of these units. Here's the goal. On the outside perimeter, detail as much as you can. Take every wall that you can, grab every piece of information with the dimensions that you can. Be as thorough as you can, right? Which this pretty much covers. When it comes to the interior, it's my philosophy to be as efficient as possible with the dimensions, but try not to fill the space up with too much. Try to be exacting in where you put these little dimensions, right? And try to do, if you want to do linear strings, try to get it to pick up as much information as you possibly can that isn't already covered in the outside here, right? So let's look at an example of that. Like, I don't need, for example, this wall or this wall or this wall dimension on the interior. It's already covered out here, right? So let's look at things that I do need. I need this opening. I need this tub. I need this 2x6 wall here. I need this little dimension for this wall. So what would be the best way to go grab all that information, right? But keep everything out of the way while I do it. Well, I'm probably not going to have too much inside of this closet. So I could probably run one through here because I need to pick up this closet. I need to pick up this piece of information. So let's just start there. Yeah, that'll work. Let's see, do I have that wall? No, I don't have that wall yet. I have this opening. No, I don't have them open. Let's see. Alright, let's have a look at all this. See, now I'm going to be in the way of that door tag. If I come out here a little bit, maybe about there. Okay. Get him out of the fridge. Alright, that was a fairly effective dimension run. Sometimes if this gets too cluttered, I will take off the stud thickness, but if I feel like I can have the stud thickness without it interfering with anything else, I'm gonna have it. Let's see. I need now I need to pick up these closets, but I can do that out here in the hallway. Okay, let's do that like this. There we go. Oh, guess I'll have to go back and fix that. Let's see. All right. maybe about there. All right, here comes another one at you. This is an interesting one, right? Do I want to dimension to the edge of stud, or do I want to dimension the clear opening? If you want to do the clear opening, that's fine. Just make sure that you tell the contractor that that is the clear opening. Okay? If not, if I was gonna do the stud, I'll just do that. That works out fine. That works too. Oh, give me a little leader. Also, when you do pull these little lines up, these leaders, I don't like to see them underneath the dimension string. I want them above, if that makes any sense. So like, for example, I wouldn't want to see this. I don't like to see this guy down there. I don't like lines going through lines, for example. I like him up and out of the way. Make it easy. Basically make it as easy to read as possible. Alright, let's see. This guy needs to kind of... He can come out there. This guy... There we go. Alright, so we got the tub, 5.5. This guy again. Cannot make extrusion. Okay, let's see what deleting elements does. I think this one didn't move because it was actually to the tub and not to the wall. Did we lose the wall? Come on, wall, what happened? Well, that is what I want it to be. Chad's probably laughing at me right now. I've probably broken something, but don't realize it. There we go. Much better. Okay, so there you have it. With a couple of quick dimension strings, I picked up 90% of the interior walls that I needed to pick up. I'm not sure there's anything else in this string that I haven't yet captured. That door's centered, that door's centered, that door's in a 90, that guy's centered. If we were really worried about it, we could put some equal dimensions on these doors, but it's not a big deal for what the little stuff we do. Alright, we've got a couple more walls yet. Need to pick up that guy. And need to pick up. Oop. Let's just get rid of him. So this is another interesting condition. So what we always say for tubs, for depth, for these pans and tubs for what I do. And again, you need to check with your project manager because we also have a roll-in shower, even on my jobs, that needs to be a minimum rough opening of 3 feet because it's an ADA compliant roll-in shower. One of the things I see all the time is that folks haven't left enough room for the rated wall drywall to blow by or go basically behind a tub or behind the shower. They come in and they will install this in mud and tape and install this drywall before they put the tubs in. So on this particular instance, I would probably go back um, on this one. And this is true for the rough openings too. But for example, I would probably make this. I gotta add an inch. The 5/8 gets a little bit weird. So, you know what I mean? Like I could have this 210.625. And then that would allow that 5/8 in there. I see a lot when it's really tight. You can definitely do that. There's no problem with bumping it up 2 3/4. You know, having it just slightly deeper doesn't hurt anything. Just make sure you still got 18 inches from the center line of the toilet to the edge of the drywall. Once that's all said and done. Okay, I think this is a fairly decent introduction to dimensioning, how we do dimensioning, and we'll probably it's been about a half hour. We'll probably continue this. I'll do maybe a bigger standalone building in a separate tutorial, but I think this is a good start for covering a lot of how dimensions work in general. I think that, you know, sometimes if I were to add anything to these dimension strings, one of the things I might add would be a string inside of the unit through here. Let's see, actually I can show you why really quickly. So you can do here, 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 here. Oop. Alright. I said quick and now I'm paying the price. There we go. Okay. This is one of these dimension strings I usually would put on a unit if I had a new client or a new unit, and the reason why is super simple, right? This way you run it, a client can understand in a really quick, rough way how big or how wide their bedrooms and their living room are, right? Not really critical to the contractor as such, but super nice for the owners. Sometimes the contractor, who knows, maybe it's useful to the contractor too, right? Probably shouldn't say that it isn't useful. So other than that, there you go. This is pretty much how I would do it. I know people might ask, like, do you want to dimension this furring wall, right? And I would say, nah, I could totally get away with it. I could do my wall partition tags, and I'll be good to go. Just need to make sure that they put that rated drywall on that U356 wall, right? But I'm allowing space, it's in there. They should be good. Let's see. Beyond that, no, I think I would call this unit dimensionally solid. I would call it done. I don't really need to dimension. Let's see. I think what I would do, if I'm honest, now that I'm looking at it, is, don't know why they bothered doing this. I would totally just make that kitchen in line with that wall, and then I don't have to go dimension that other wall. There you go. Totally just do that. super easy. There's no reason to have no reason not to have a slightly bigger kitchen like that. That jog wasn't doing anything for us. I think I could probably get away with 3'8" as opposed to 3.5 on this unit for the mechanical, but other than that, it's fine. It'll work. Okay. All right, again, I think that this is a good start. I think if you're able to do dimension strings in this manner, I think that you're well on your way to having a good set of drawings that the contractor can follow fairly easily. And I think we'll definitely continue this discussion down the road, probably with a really large building, and get into some more of these exemptions or changes or technicalities. And we'll also probably cover, when we do the dimensions, we show some door swings while we're at it. Door swing clearances, ADA clearances, path clearances. That's probably a talk for another video. But for now, appreciate it. Hope this wasn't too terribly boring, and look forward to seeing what you guys produce.